Not surprisingly, I didn't feel any better when I woke up. I just kept thinking about how I was now homeless. Not just homeless, planetless. I lumbered out of bed. I wanted to do anything but think about that. I studied the room. It looked cozy enough. Everything was the same color as the rest of the ship. Built into the left wall, vertically stacked drawers, most likely for my clothes. Not that I had any, though. I opened the door and I noticed earlier to see a very clean, very sophisticated bathroom. There was a sink, a shower, and a strange contraption I had never seen before. It looked like a huge refrigerator with a clear glass door. I closed the bathroom door and returned to the rest of the room. On the floor were two closed panels that looked very conspicuous. There was a pad of buttons next to it. Not wanting to accidentally blow the place up, I decided that I'd come back to that later. I strode to the door, not even bothering to put my boots back on. I studied the door, wondering how in the hell I was going to get it open. Then I noticed another pad of buttons next to the door. One light green button stuck out at me. I held my breath as I pressed it, and luckily the door opened. I walked out into the living room, once again observing its beauty. The room was empty. Hearing noises, I walked down the stairs and walked to a part of the room I hadn't explored yet. Spotting another staircase, I climbed it. I heard voices coming from an open door, so I ventured in. Inside was a very futuristic kitchen. It looked normal enough with the island and some appliances that I recognized. But it was filled with all sorts of strange gadgets I had never seen before. Matt, Shiara, and Jackson were there leaning over a chrome steel stove. I heard the sizzling of a frying pan and this familiar smell reached my nostrils. Shiara spotted me and tapped Matt on the shoulder. He and Jackson turned around and Matt said, "Oh, hi." I stared at them. Jackson held up the pan. "Scrambled eggs?" he offered. I laughed. Besides Punko's 80s, scrambled eggs were my favorite thing in the world. I gave up. "Sure," I said, taking a seat on one of the chairs around the island. As Jackson scooped the eggs onto a plate, Shara hopped up on top of the island and smiled at me. I tried to smile back. Jackson slid the plate over to me. I picked up the fork and took a bite. They're the most delicious scrambled eggs I had ever tasted. "You like them?" Matt inquired. My mouth was full of ecstasy, so I simply nodded. Everyone smiled at me. Matt asked the question, "How are you doing?" I thought about my answer. "Well, given that my planet was just destroyed, I could be better," was my response. But I don't want to think about that. I want to think about something else. "Like what?" Shara asked innocently. "Like you guys," I said, and I was being honest. I really wanted to know more about these people who I'd apparently be spending the rest of my life with. "I don't know anything about you. How'd you all get here?" "Well," Jackson said, while washing the pan, "I won an intergalactic lottery and spent the winnings on the Stellar here. I made a side trip to Earth a few years later, and Matt decided to come with me when I left. We picked up Shara at Balthi and along the galaxy, and after that, we've been a crew ever since." "Who's Balthi?" I asked. Right on cue, a wet, slimy tongue licked across my hand. After screaming like a banshee, I saw that the tongue belonged to a large, six-legged creature with one large eye staring at me. It was a weird shade of gray and had a long tail of 4 tentacles, almost like flower petals at the end, and it was panting, its large tongue flopping out at me. "That's Balthi," Shara explained, hopping off the island to pet the beast. "You may look fierce, but he's just a big softy, aren't you, boy?" she said to Balthi while stroking him affectionately. "One thing you gotta learn about space, Val," Matt said, "is that it takes a while to grow on you." "Valerie," I reprimanded. "And how do you know about my name?" "Your file," Jackson responded. "Everyone in the galaxy has one. It's got everything about you. Your likes, dislikes, even your sexual fantasies." Before I could protest, Jackson said, "Don't worry, we didn't read that part." "Memo to self, give Jackson a big fat hug." "That's how I knew you liked scrambled eggs," he said. "Anything I should know about you guys? After all, we're going to be spending a lot of time together," I said. Matt looked at Shiara. "You want to tell her, or should I?" he asked her. Shiara looked like she was going to kill something. "You even spell it out, and I'll knock you like a Quaresian." Okay, now I had to know whatever it was they were talking about. "Tell me what?" Shiara seemed incredibly sheepish. I'll tell you later." I didn't need to be Albert Einstein to know that Shiara was hiding something. Maybe I'll get back to that later. "Well, in the meantime," Jackson said, diverting my attention, "you can stay with us as long as you want." I shrugged. "Where else am I going to go?" Everyone's smiles fell. Aw, crap, I bummed them out. I tried to pick the mood back up. "So what can you tell me about this place?" I asked. Shiara instantly perked up. "How about I show you?" she offered. I shrugged again. "Why not?" "Come on," Shiara said, taking my arm. "I'll give you the grand tour." Matt tossed Shiara a key ring with several multicolored transparent cards hanging off of it. She gleefully bounded out of the kitchen, dragging me along. I had to run to keep up with her. I could tell how excited she was. I almost envied her. Maybe someday I could be like her, overjoyed at the prospect of leaving everything behind and starting a new life. But I didn't have time to think about that because Shiara was leading me down the staircase into the magnificent living room. "Well, we've already seen the living room," she announced. "Yeah," I responded. "I think it's wonderful. Then you're gonna love the rest of this place," she said happily. I pointed to the flower-like contraptions. "What are these?" "Chairs," Shiara said simply. She proceeded to sit down on one of the pedals. "They're very comfortable." I took another look around the room. I came back to the world's biggest flat screen, admiring it. Shiara joined me. "We get pay-per-view and video games," she explained. "Friday night is movie night." "Sounds like you guys have fun here," I said. Oh, you have no idea, she said almost dreamily, as if she were remembering something. Want to see the pool? She asked. You guys have a pool? Yep, she nodded. And a hot tub. Not a hot tub time machine? I joked. Shara's eyes got wide. You have hot tub time machines on your planet? She inquired. I chuckled. I was joking, I assured. Shara's face fell. I chuckled again. I was starting to like this girl. After walking down a long labyrinth of hallways, she showed me the pool. Through the sliding glass doors, I could see an amazing pool filled with water that had a strange shade of blue to it. It was almost eerie how blue it was. Shara inserted one of the cards into a small slot and then turned the entire slot counterclockwise like a key. As she did this, the glass doors slid open. The smell of chlorine wafted into my nose. Why is the water that color? I asked. Water is imported from Aquaria. It's an almost all-water planet, she explained. The water there is a little bluer, but it's perfectly okay to swim in. I don't have a swimsuit, I said. You could borrow one of mine, she offered, although you might have to worry about the tail hole. I laughed. Suddenly, Shara lit up. Oh, I have to show you this. You're going to love it. Once again, she dragged me down the hallways, turning sharply every now and then until we arrived at yet another door. After using another card to open the door, Shara ushered me inside. I gasped. I was staring at a device that looked like a tanning bed stacked on end. There was no door, though, so I could see the walls inside were lined with multicolored lights that blinked on and off repeatedly. Before I could ask, what in the holy hell is this, a medieval torture device? Shara had rushed me into the machine. Just hold still, she told me. My heart started beating faster. I really didn't want to see whatever this was going to do to me. She turned to a touch screen and started pressing it repeatedly. I craned my neck to try to see what she was doing, but she caught me. Trust me, were the choice words she decided to use. I hesitated. I liked Shara and all, it's just that we'd known each other for too short a time for me to fully trust her. I'm a girl who you have to work for. Shara hadn't totally won me over yet. She wasn't going to be calling me Val anytime soon. She pressed one last button and then turned to me. Look down, she said. I looked down. Yep, those are my legs, my boots, my average-sized chest. Whoa. My chest wasn't average anymore. My breasts were expanding. Watched silently as my boobs grew fatter and rounder. I was filled with an incredibly odd sensation. It didn't feel bad or anything. As a matter of fact, it felt kind of good. It was just unfamiliar. Finally, the swelling stopped, and I was left staring at my massive breasts. Not exactly a D cup, but still pretty damn huge. I admired my new size. So what do you think? Shara asked smugly. She must have known what she was doing to me. I couldn't think of anything to say. Then finally, thanks. What was that? Shara adjusted to the machine I was standing in. I picked this up on Karen 7. It can do anything and everything to you. Change your size, shape, it can even change species. That thought intrigued me. So this can turn me into a tiger? I asked. I'd always had a fascination with tigers. I put up a tiger calendar on my cubicle to give a decoration. I thought they were the most beautiful creatures, and I think it's a crime that are endangered, now extinct. The idea of becoming one was so addicting to me. I'd change you now, but you have to be naked for your body to change completely, she explained. It made sense to me. Well, we haven't known each other that long for that, I said. I know, Shara said while she played with her tail. But I like to get to know you better. I've never had a real gal pal out here. It's just me and a bunch of guys. I'd really like it if we could be friends. I looked at her. She seemed harmless enough. It would be great to have a friend out here, I said truthfully. Maybe we can be friends. Does this mean I can call you Val? She asked hopefully. I thought for a second. We'll see. You call me Valerie for now. Shara smiled. I can live with that. I smiled back. There was a knocking sound. Matt and Jackson had entered the room. How you girls doing? Matt asked. His eyes went to my breasts. I see you discovered the morphine device. I shielded my breast from his gaze. Matt laughed. We were wondering if you guys wanted to go to Cena's, Jackson said. Shara leaped into the air like a jack-in-the-box. Yes, 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 she screamed. She grabbed her by the shoulders. You have to meet Cena. You just have to. Who's Cena? I asked, shrugging Shara off of me. She's a bartender, Matt explained, and you two had really hit it off. I suddenly realized I was in the mood for alcohol. Are we going to her bar? I asked. Everyone nodded, Shara more furiously than the guys. Alright, I'm in.